Chris Bevilacqua back with us, and I wanted to get your take on our talk with Craig Levine, and anything kind of jump out at you about what he said regarding the future of esports?
Well, listen, it is quite a phenomenon. I mean, I have 4 young kids, and they're 9 and younger, so I can't imagine that they won't somehow be in front of video games anytime in the near future. I think it's a growing, obviously a growing category in the state of sports and media. You have to fish where the fish are, and so it's clear that the millennials are behind this, young males, and it's not surprising that they're getting a lot of traction in terms of media company interest, advertising and sponsor interest, and then just general passionate fan base that follows it.
All right, so let me ask you this. Is Time Warner/TBS and IMG fishing in the right pool with their announcement that in 2016 they're going to have this eSports league on TV?
I mean, based on what you're seeing, especially if you look back, as Craig said, pointing back to the Twitch acquisition by Amazon 14 or so months ago, I mean, is definitely an accelerating interest in the category and in the platform. If you're Time Warner and you're a media company and you're trying to hit millennial audience, and in their case really protect the pay TV business that they have, you're going to go towards live events, and live is live is live. And so I think this is a really natural place for both IMG and Time Warner to invest into.
They're looking for a Friday night broadcast. Is that a good thing for them, you think, or no?
I think so. I mean, usually Friday night in terms of broad-based television services is usually the graveyard of TV programming. So I think targeting that Friday night with a window designed to hit millennials makes a lot of sense.
Could there also be a strategic value here for Turner in the sense that since this is the TV everywhere model, right, that this is hope for that will keep people from cutting cords, the younger audience, and keep them with their cable packages?
Yeah, I think it's designed for 2 things. It's to hold the audience in the pay TV bundle, but also bring millennials into the pay TV subscription world. And they're going to do that. Like last night, I was watching the Mets game right off of the TBS app. I wasn't watching it on television. And so I'm sure they're going to do the same thing here, put it in a TV everywhere environment, market it to the millennial audience, and hope that they can generate more subscription.
My guess is you look at a lot of numbers. You're not surprised in hearing how many people right now globally are interested in esports. When you hear that they stream it, 32 million people, let's say, that doesn't surprise you.
No, I mean, on the one hand, it does surprise me because I think to myself, I'm an old fogey. Who watches this stuff? But obviously a lot of people do, and targeted at millennials. So, I mean, I think on the one hand it's surprising. On the other hand, just given what we're seeing in the market, not so surprising.
All right, let's move on and talk about something else. A network that is splitting, MSG, splitting its sports assets, its TV assets. Give us a little more on that. Is that the right move for MSG?
Well, I think you have to. I mean, if you look at what all the analysts are saying, I mean, just unlocking value. They're splitting the company into essentially the content assets, and then you have distribution assets in the regional sports networks. So, I think if you sort of look out and you believe that content will be king, right? You want to continue to own those assets. Knicks, the Rangers, the Garden, and all event and programming that they put through there. On the MSG network side, right, the RSNs are still a valuable business. The model of RSNs is under a little bit of pressure, right? So there's probably some design, as it's been much talked about, to somebody coming in and buying MSG networks. You can think of a couple of logical buyers, right, like SNY, maybe yes. Then you think of, well, what DirecTV is in the RSN business, right? They just merged with AT&T, and so you could see that. There's probably some opportunity for a sale here in the near future.
Yeah, I think if you look at the way the two are valued right now, I'm kind of leaning a lot closer to the MSG, which owns the Knicks, the Rangers, and Madison Square Garden, because that also owns the arena and the real estate. And I got to think, real estate in New York doesn't seem to get any cheaper over time. So, I got to think there's some value there as well. And, look, I mean, you look at the Clippers deal. What was that, $2 billion? So, the Knicks alone, $2 billion, the Rangers, $1 billion. I mean, it kind of, and those values are probably going up. They're not going down.
And they generate IP, right? They have live sports rights, media rights around it, and all the sponsorship that they're selling. And those businesses, in terms of sports, are only going up. So you would believe that the value of the franchises is just going to continue to increase.
Final question, does it make sense for the Dolans as they get a little older? Maybe they take their foot off the gas a little bit and say, well, let's keep the sports teams. We know what the rights fees are. Let's maybe sell these networks in the next few years and maximize value there.
You could argue that their sale of the company to Altice, the private equity firm from Europe, was really them saying, hey, we think that we might have top-ticked the cable industry business here, and now it's time to get out. So let's now monetize the asset.